Hey there, welcome to CNT Collectibles IMC, and we're going to continue our long-term investment series, and we'll have the third baseman up today. So a lot of the big dogs, some impressive names in this list. And so what we're trying to do, if you're like me, what I'm trying to do is basically I don't want to spend a lot of time flipping cards around, and so I want to do a little homework up front. This is great at the end of the season while all the numbers are in. See who might be on a Hall of Fame path, who isn't on a Hall of Fame path, and then I can take the emotion out of purchases over the next season. I can ignore hot streaks. I can buy on cold streaks, and yeah, I think the Hall of Famers are the guys that their investments are going to hold up a little bit better than others over a long period of time. So that's what I'm looking for. If I'm going to dump serious money into a player, then I'm going to want them to hold that value somewhat over a period of time here. And so for the Hall of Fame, we've got 17 players in the Hall of Fame at the third base position. The highest wins above replacement is Mike Schmidt, class of 95 with 106.6, the most hits. 33-19, Paul Molitor, St. Paul's own Paul Molitor, class of 04, most home run, also Schmidt. 548, 500 home run club. We've got a couple of players in there. Mike Schmidt at 548, as we just and Eddie Matthews at 512. 3,000 hit club. We've got Paul Molitor, George Brett, Wade Boggs, and someone else. my face is in there. No, just Boggs. So we've got the three in there. So I'll move myself around a little bit here. Way to prep, Chad. So don't forget a couple of names here that maybe they'll get some consideration again someday. They've already been considered and for whatever reason didn't make it. But now that there's 83 different committees for the Hall of Fame, perhaps they get another crack. So Buddy Bell, 61 wins above replacement, 5-time All-Star, 6-time Gold Glove, Silver Slugger. And I spent 1 year on the ballot, so we'll see if anything comes up down the road in the Veterans Committee, hopefully before it's too late, because we're seeing a trend in that one. Greg Nettles, 65.7 wins above replacement, 6 times All-Star, 2 times Gold Glove. He was in the top 5 MVP voting once, and he was on the ballot for 4 years, and so he was able to hang around for a little bit, but didn't quite work out. Ken Boyer with 54.8 wins. He was an MVP, 11-time All-Star, 5-time Gold Glover. He was on the ballot for 5 years before dropping off. He was on the Veterans Committee for 10 years and couldn't quite get in, and it sounds like he's coming back again for the ballot for the winter meetings. Again, they've got like 4 different committees looking at different eras of the game, and it looks like Mr. Boyer is going to get another crack at this one, and with those numbers, perhaps some serious consideration is in order. All right, take a look at a couple of guys in the future here. They're not going to see them in the video today. It's more speculation at this point, but they are guys that'll be on the radar, and perhaps we'll see them in this video someday here. That's their biggest dream, of course. It's not MVP winning a World Series. Well, he already did that. Yeah, the next thing for him, he's got everything except for being in my long-term Hall of Fame tracker. So Austin Riley, age 24, he's compiled 4.2 wins. And at this stage of the game, at age 24, the typical Hall of Famer has about 12.32 wins. So he's off the pace. If you're going to be a Hall of Famer, then you're going to put up 6, 7, 8 win seasons at some point here, and he can close the gap if he does that, if he proves himself. So something to watch for. Brian Hayes, also age 24, 3.2 wins, in the same deal here off the track. But if he can come up and start producing, or he is up, but if he can continue to produce at a high level, then he can close that gap over time. So it's kind of interesting to see just a lot of these players are coming up at 23, 24, and really for third baseman, the only player that came up that late, and made the Hall was Wade Boggs, and he started putting up 7, 8 win seasons right off the bat here. So I wonder if a different standard will be held to these guys. Will be interesting to see. All right, a couple old timers here coming up on voting. Their eligibility is there, and we'll see how it goes here. Scott Rowland. This is his 1995 Bowman Prime Prospects card. So there's a couple of the big ones here. One is the Bowman's Best, and then the Prime Prospects card. And so his wins above replacement are commensurate with what you'd want out of a Hall of Famer. He's been on the ballot for 4 years. And during that time, he's garnered 10% of the vote, 17% of the vote, 35% of the vote, and recently over 52% of the vote. So he's starting to get taken seriously. Now, this is one I talked about last year, just taking a few shots on it, and I'm still getting a few of his things because there's a million variations of this one. But 2,077 hits for his career, which is 23rd among third basemen, or would be 23rd among third basemen all time. 316 home runs, which is 16th. Rookie of the Year, 7-time All-Star, 8-time Gold Glove, top 5 MVP finish. And I think it's not a lock by any stretch here, but I think you're looking at a better than a coin flip's chance of him getting in. And his cards are pretty cheap as we'll look at it towards the end here. Or not towards the end, but at the end. Adrian Beltre. All right, man. Career, he is a 3,000 hit club, 477 home runs, so I'd be second in hits among third basemen, third in home runs, 4-time All-Star, 5-time Gold Glove, 2 Platinum Gloves, 4 Silver Sluggers, in the top 5 of MVP voting twice, and his eligibility is in 2024, and he will be a first ballot Hall of Famer, because this is not a Hall of Fame track. This is an all-time great elite type track. So let's look at some current players and see what their chances are. So we'll start off with Yoan Moncada, who currently has 13.4 wins above replacement, and the average Hall of Famer at age 25-26, he had a birthday in the middle of the season, is somewhere between 17 and 22, so I'd love to see him have like 19 or 20 wins above replacement. He has a good, strong season off of that pace. So for the career, 529 hits, 70 home runs, weighted runs created of 114, so he's really good defender, and he's a pretty good hitter. A couple of years ago, 2019, I think it was, he had like 35 home runs, which was a lot of home run to fly ball benefit of that one, but for the most part, that monster season here last year, this is really going to mess with a lot of players here, kind of that 2020 season where it was relatively flat. And then this year was a top 5 third baseman, so something to be interested in. It's all about price, so it's like, okay, on the track or not, you want to be wary of what you're paying for it. So you look at the relative against everybody else, but he was tracking, and then he's fallen off just a little bit, and we'll see what the voting does down the road, as far as this year, where it was basically a lost year for most everybody. Now, you look at a lot of the guys that went to World War II in the last 3 years, and they still made it with impressive numbers, so I'm not sure how much consideration they'll get, but it is something to keep in the back of your mind. Matt Chapman, career WAR, Fangraphs WAR 20, and the average Hall of Famer at age 28 has close to 34, so he's a couple good seasons off the pace here. So 500 hits, 111 home runs, and a weighted runs created of 120. He is an all-star, 3 Gold Gloves and 2 Platinum Gloves, and so he came in really, really late for the most part here. Started to get going as like a 26-year-old, but made up for time very quickly. Then he had an injury. Then last season, and this year he was hurt as well. So he started to turn on a little bit when he came back. I think he was still hurt, but he's tracking, but he is below the line and diverging from it. So again, this is a player that it was an interesting trajectory here, but as he falls off the pace, unless you can quickly pick it up, that's a big difference to make up, and you want to be mindful of. So where I would use this is if he has a really great year next year, wait. Don't buy into that. Do it now or whatever, but don't buy into those hot streaks next year and pay a premium on it, because that longer term trend is questionable at this point. Evan Longoria, career Fangraphs WARs 53.4, average Hall of Famer at 35, has 61 wins above replacement, 1,800 hits, 317 home runs, 118 weighted runs created. No question, one of the best third baseman around at the beginning, but he's cooled off over the last few years. So if he's willing to play a few more years here, if he can play till 37, 38 and creep above 2,000 hits, then perhaps he can get some consideration and get closer to that 60 wins above replacement. He was a Rookie of the Year, 3-time All-Star, 3-time Gold Glover, and a Silver Slugger. So I'm not sure that the bona fides are there. So at this point, can he compile enough? Is what he's going to have to do. So, all right, Anthony Rendon, 36 wins above replacement, and the average Hall of Famer at age 31, 47 wins above replacement. So quite a bit off the path here, and you can see that his trajectory when he came up was awesome. He was making up for lost time in a hurry here, but over the last couple of seasons, 2020 he wasn't that great. This year was hurt for almost the whole year, and I didn't mean to do that. So I think I can go back. Yes, I can. Lovely. You can see over the last couple of years, he was making up for lost time, but now he's starting to flatten out just a little bit here. His prices reflect that. As a player that I collected fairly aggressively when I first got back into the hobby a couple of years ago, so spent a little bit of money on it, not a ton, but it looks like that is not going to work out in my favor here. So terrific hitter though. So for him, can he play at a high level? When he does play, he's like a 6-7 win player. So can he do that for another 4 years? Who knows? But he's got to want to do it here. All-Star, Silver Slugger, a couple of those, and a top 5 MVP. So he's got some making up to do. There's no question about that. All right, Chris Bryant, 31 wins, and the average Hall of Famer is 29, 38 wins. 914 hits, 167 bombs, and 134 weighted runs created. He's a beast of a hitter here. So he has an MVP, which is huge. All right, listen, if you're ever on the fence with hits or anything like that, to have one of ththose MVPs is a big deal. Rookie of the Year, 4-time All-Star. So he is tracking pretty nicely. Again, he was right on the path. Last year took him off it. Not his fault. And then this year he had a very nice season here, so he can continue to grind along. I think we're looking at something here, people. He's got enough of a track record. So Nolan Rendon. How about Nolan Arenado? So what was I thinking on this one here? So I think I did a little too much copy and paste. Look, I got it right over here though. All right. So 35 wins, the average Hall of Famer at age 30, 43 wins career, 1,300 hits, 269 home runs, and 118 weighted runs created. So no slouch at the plate, doing just fine. But here's what gets him in: 6-time All-Star, 9 Gold Gloves, 5 Platinum Gloves, 4 Silver Sluggers. So he's the Yachty of at third base, who can actually hit. Who can actually hit pretty well here. So tracking beautifully. Last year brought him off the track, but he picked up right where he left off for the most part. Can he stay healthy for the next few years and just be Nolan Arenado? If he can do that, then we're looking at a Hall of Famer. All right, Alex Bregman, career WAR is 22, and the average Hall of Famer at age 27 is 28.93, so call it 29. So he's a very good year off the pace. 600 hits, 676 hits, 117 home runs, 140 weighted runs created, a couple-time All-Star, Silver Slugger, and 2 top 5 MVPs. A lot of people argue he should have won it in 2019. He came out like a shot and was above the curve, which is what you want to see. With last year being, again, lost year for everybody, but then this year he missed a lot of time. It does take him off the pace. Now, if there's anybody that can that can put up a 6-7 win season, get right back on track, then it is, I believe, Mr. Bregman. He sure has the talent to do that, and so we'll see what happens. Next year's kind of a make or break. Another flat year really puts him off the track, but if he has a good year, then he can start tracking again. So we'll see how that plays out. Oh, fancy. That makes me dizzy here. So Rafi Devers, career WAR. We're getting to a little bit more speculative, but there's a bit of a track record here. So 12 wins, and the average Hall of Famer at age 24 has 12 wins. So he's just ahead of that pace with 598 hits, 112 home runs, and 119 weighted runs created. He's an all-star. He's a Silver Slugger, and you can see that he's even with the lousy year last year, that for everybody, it's not his fault or anything like that. He is tracking. He's on the track. He's right on the line. Love it. Love to see that one. So this is a player that I will get a little bit more of than I would of other players. So because of that, who knows how it works out down the road, but he's still cheap enough to take a shot on Jose Ramirez, career or Fangraph WAR 34, average Hall of Fame WAR at age 28, 33.94. So he's right on that track for the most part, if not slightly ahead of it. So even with the shortened year last year, didn't slow him down a whole lot here. 987 hits, 163 home runs, 126 rated runs created, 3-time All-Stars, 3 Silver Sluggers, and 3 top 5 MVPs. And this is a great track. And this is one of the reasons I started putting this out last year. Kind of my research on it, because I just saw too many people doing the similar thing, and they would either leave off Jose Ramirez or say he's got a 20% chance. Like, yeah, he looks awesome. So he's got some work to do. He needs to keep playing at his current level for a number of years. He's 28, so let's see if he can keep doing this for another 3 or 4 years, and then maybe start to tail off a little bit here. But absolutely one of my favorite players to collect at this time. And your number one player on the number one track for third baseman, Manny Machado, not Manny Rendon or anything like that. I got this one right. So 40 wins above replacement Fangraphs WAR at age 28, 29, 30. You're looking for 30 to 33 to 38 wins. He's beating both of those. 1,425 hits, 250 home runs, weighted runs created of 120, 5-time All-Star, 2-time Gold Glove, 3 top 5 MVPs, Platinum Glove, Silver Slugger, and that track is beautiful. He is a beast, and if he keeps playing, then he will be joining the Hall no matter what people think of him. So kind of the Bryce Harper track, like, yeah, you probably am, but we don't like you. So we'll see how it goes here. But yeah, that is a beautiful trajectory overall. So let's look at the price relative on these. What do we do with this information here? So we try and compare them to their peers. What kind of a track are they on, age, and all that kind of stuff, and see if there's an outliner. For the most part, Scott Rowland, PSA, this is the Bowman's Best Blue. So this was a little bit of a shorter print, and you're looking at $400 to $500 for that in a PSA 10. The PSA 9 is going to cost you $50. All right, so I think that is a cheap way to get a little piece of Scott Rowland for the most part. If you're looking for a graded example, this seems pretty cheap relative to the PSA 10 version of it. Adrian Beltre, priced at a Hall of Famer for the most part, is 97 Bowman Chrome. Looking at $500 in the PSA 10. The PSA 9 again at a pretty severe discount. So I don't know if it's because most of these are 10s because they're Chrome cards or whatever the reason is. But these are cheap enough ways to get in if you're looking for those players here. Okay, Juan Moncada. These guys are a little more speculative here, and $20 to $30 is what you're paying for the Moncada and the Chapman. That's probably fine. So their chances are dwindling as it were. So if they start to get back on the track, have a couple good seasons or something like that, then they could creep up to where these other guys are at. But for now, it seems fair. 2008 update, Ivan Longoria, $125. So kind of expensive. I think people are looking at him as better than a coin flip, and he could have some long-term relevance as he's able to keep playing a few more years, especially what he did this year before he got hurt. If he's able to reproduce that, so the card that I kind of like on this one, and just to have a little bit, because you can get his raw stuff really really cheap, his golds and everything, $10-15. He's got a chrome autograph card. He's got a beautiful signature, so it just displays well no matter what. And you can get those for like $30, and that's how I'm playing this one. I'm not going to put a ton into it because it's like I'm not seeing it. It's really iffy, so I don't want to commit a ton to it. But to pick up a few things here and there for $20-30, why the heck not? Anthony Rendon. This was a card that was upwards of $80 last year. Now you're sitting at everything's gotten hit, but now he's sitting at about $30. So with the shortened season and getting hurt this year, he's kind of out of sight, out of mind, and I think he'll have to reprove himself to people here if he wants to get back up into the $60-$70 area. So I think he's a little bit better off than Moncada Chapman, but not by much for the most part. All right. Chris Bryant, the 2016, I think it's a Series 1 or 2 or something like that, $35 in a PSA 10. This Chrome's going to cost you $150. So I think Chris Bryant is absolutely in a better position than Moncada and Chapman and probably Rendon. That seems like a cheap price, and I'm going to, after this video, before I post it, of course, I'm going to go see if there's something available in that price range for a Chris Bryant. All right, Nolan Arenado. Not Nolan Rendon. 2013 update, $90 to $100, which when you compare it to the rest of these guys, it's like, yeah, I mean, he's probably got the most. He and Machado are probably the most solid path guys here. The update is a little bit shorter printed, typically than the regular release here. So there could be a little bit of a premium on there, and people like them. So a little bit of a premium on that one, and you could see this card tick up. It was $350 earlier this year. So if the whole card market gets going, then he should rise along with it. So I'm not saying, oh my gosh, this is so cheap relative to what it was last year because that was expensive. But relative to some of these other guys, it's like he's probably in. Longoria, maybe not, and a lot of this other stuff. It's like that seems okay. That seems okay to me. So, Alex Bregman, Rafi Devers. Bregman, you're going to pay $25 for. Again, hurt this year, coming off the track. Market senses that one, and so his prices have really dropped. They were never that high. I think they either at $40, maybe they got up to like 80 or 90 or something like that, and that was too much. That $40-$50 year was probably good. So good year next year, that could be an easy double right there. So the Chrome one as well. Some of the other variations, Rafi Devers $40, the Chrome is $65. That's the one we look at a lot in the chart show. It looks like it's a pretty solid spot here. I think that's a good price for Rafi Devers and what he is doing. Jose Ramirez 2014 tops $60, and there was an auction that ended at like $25, and I think that's most of these are going for $60-$65, and I think for what he's doing, that is a card. Again, if the market rises, he should be rising with it because he's on an incredible path. And Manny Machado $60. And I think he's better off than pretty much everybody here other than Nolan Arenado, and obviously Adrian Beltre. So I think there is some pretty good upside to Manny Machado. I've said that in the past, $60, and it went to like $120 or $100, and then it keeps coming back to $60. $60 is kind of where kind of where you buy it, and unless the market continues to reprice itself lower, then that's fair. So if this thing gets down to $30 or $40, then everything's going down, and at least this one again should hold its value over the long term. Not that it's gonna not lose money or anything like that, but that seems cheap if the baseball market is to get going into the end of the season. So, all right, that's what I got for you. I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed, and we will talk to you later. Bye now.